Sunshine, Aspen Gold, 108, 7,548, Freesia, Mimosa, 142. I wonder which one is the best yellow. Hey everybody, today I'm going to be painting on Pantone postcards with gouache. So here's the box with the cards. They have so many beautiful colors in there, so it was really hard to decide which ones to start out with. So I decided I'm gonna use a random color generator, and I got a gray tone. This was the first one that I got. Then I got a green tone, which is very, very bright, and this fluorescent blue. I didn't really find the green and the blue, but tried to match them as well as I could. So here's the closest matches that I could find. And I started out painting on the gray tone, which is probably the best match after all. Started with a little bit of a sketch here and used acrylic gouache to paint on those cards. And I thought I would paint a wall, like a gray brick wall. And I wanted to paint some flowers growing out of it. For all of these cards, my goal is to incorporate the background color of the cards into the painting. So I want the color, the original color of the card, to make up a good amount of the card. So you still know this is the color it's supposed to be, and this is the main color, and I'm just getting inspired by this color, and it's not like completely painted over. I've seen this trend done in a few different ways, but I personally really wanted to do it this way because I feel like it defeats the purpose if I paint over it completely. But of course, you do you, whatever you want to do with them if you decide to do something like this. Or you could also use swatch cards that you get at the hardware store. I'm sure I still have some somewhere, so I might paint on these as well at one point. I've done that before. But yeah, here you can see I'm done with my wall, and now I started to paint the flowers growing out of it. Honestly, the only thing that bothers me a little bit about this painting is that I think there's not enough contrast between the green and the gray, which is really hard to kind of counteract that, because I've tried different green tones. I've tried the lighter green tones with the highlights. I've tried the darker ones for the shadows, and it's still kind of missing a little bit of the contrast. But it's okay. There's no way around this because there's so many different values on the gray, so it would be hard to find a contrasting green tone, but it is okay. I also painted a bit of moss on some of the bricks and gave the bricks some highlights. And yeah, it's a simple painting, but I really like the idea of it. So I'm kind of happy with how this one turned out. If you want to improve your gouache painting game, then I have good news. I have a free course for you. I will link the sign up in the description box below. You will learn how to recreate this simple gouache landscape, and you will be able to paint it in about 30 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on how fast you want to go. And I show you a little bit of the tips and tricks and techniques that I use when I paint with gouache. So make sure that you sign up to the free course. Again, I will leave it in the description box below for you to sign up. For the next one, I got this green tone that you already saw previously. I call this lovingly green screen green because honestly this looks like a green screen. The color that I got in the randomizer was a little bit brighter than this one, but quite honestly, I'm not too mad about the fact that there's not that much of an intense green in the set. I like this one more, even though it reminds me of a green screen. This is probably my least favorite painting of them all, which is surprising because this is a nature landscape that I did here, and usually I really, really love those. But what I don't love about the piece, honestly, is the green peeking through, which was the whole point of doing it. So I didn't want to completely cover it up, but it kind of bothers me. And I have the urge to kind of finish this painting and cover all of the green in the background. And I know there's no set rules on this challenge, or at least I don't think so. I don't know. So I could have painted over it, but I kind of didn't want to, because again, I feel like it defeats the purpose. I think the original color should be there, and it should be a very important part of the painting as well, not just visible in a few little spots. So I tried to leave it in there while also kind of making it a painting. I mean, it's cute, it's not too bad, but I feel like this one is my least favorite of them all. So here's the finished one, and now let's move on to the next one. We have Caribbean Sea. That's one of the ones that I really like, and I got inspired by the name of the paint as well, and I wanted to paint this top-down view of the beach, and I wanted to have the water there and the sand. And so the water obviously is the Caribbean Sea original Pantone color. And then on the lower part of it all, we have the painting itself. And again, I wanted the sea to be visible in the original color. I feel like a little bit more details on the top would have really made this piece look more finished. But I also kind of like the way that this is now, with the original color showing so much at the top. So these are the first three that I randomly generated. And then I decided to cut myself some slack and pick colors that I actually really liked, because the randomizer was not that kind to me, if you ask me. So I decided to paint on this very pale pink tone first. This one is called Blossom, and originally I wanted to paint Ice Cream, and then I thought, yeah, I want to get inspired by the name though. And then I remembered I had seen a lot of these ice cream cones with flowers instead of the ice cream on Pinterest. And I feel like at one point I painted this before. I think it was in one of my sketchbooks, and I did a very loose watercolor painting of this theme. And I kind of thought this would be perfect. So we have this ice cream cone because for some reason this color, the pink, kind of reminded me of like a strawberry vanilla ice cream, something like that. And now we also have the flowers, and I think this looks so cute. I imagine that these flowers are actually made out of ice cream, because that would be so cool. Real ice cream looking like this. And then for the next one, we have again a very summery color, and I picked pastel colors for all of these because I had to recover from the green screen green, honestly. And so here, this is probably my favorite, honestly. I have this kind of sky sunset theme going on, and here we have a lot of the blue again because I wanted it to be there, and here it really makes sense, and here it really looks good. It also really works with the last piece that I showed you with the ice cream cone because it's just the background, but here I feel like the blue really integrates so well in the landscape. And even though I was struggling a little bit with the gradient from the white to the blue, this would have been much easier with water soluble gouache than with acrylic gouache, because acrylic gouache is much harder to blend. But also it's kind of hard because you're trying to blend it into the background color. This would be so much easier if I had blended it into blue paint instead. But I'm pretty happy with how I did it. I mean, it's a sky. It doesn't have to be flawless or perfect. So we have all of these colors on here and all of the clouds. And this is how this one turned out. And now we have the last one, which was called Seafoam Green. And I actually had to look up what seafoam actually is. Like, what does it actually look like? I mean, I suppose it's foam that the sea creates, as the name suggests. But sea foam, I don't know if it's actually a thing, because if you search on Google for sea foam, you will just find a lot of different pictures and results in exactly this green color. So apparently seafoam green is a thing, and it's just the color name for some reason. Someone must have come up with that. I don't know if there's a story here, but you can see what I painted. I kind of got inspired by the color name and wanted to make an under the sea painting. I wanted to stay on the simpler side here, again, because I wanted to have the background, and also I thought it would just look a lot cuter if this was more on the simple side, and I'm glad that I did, because I'm also really happy with this one, and I have those fish and those sea weeds, I guess. So it's similar enough to the color name that it kind of makes sense. And I suppose that these things would create the sea foam, I guess. I don't know. And so I fixed a little bit there, and this is the finished painting. And now we have all of the 6 cards that I painted for this video. Again, if you want to improve your gouache skills, make sure that you check out my free gouache course, which is linked in the description box down below. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!